Hello, hello, hello. Let's get them. Horns up. I'm Animesh.
And I'm Peter.
And this is Horns Up. How have you been, Pete? A bit of a gap since the last podcast. All well?
Well, other than the work schedule, just a bit of a man cold, nasty cough, fever.
Tell me about it. I've been traveling quite a lot. And well, after all that travel, you come back home and boom, you don't expect that weather change to hit you that hard. I still have a cold. I think you can still tell by the sound of my voice.
Yeah, dude, it's nasty.
Anyways, that break essentially meant that the podcast took a bit of a backseat. It's not an ideal situation, and forgive us for that. But hey, that's something for us to try harder at. Anyways, what do we have lined up for today?
Today we're in conversation with Sakis Tolis, the founder and frontman for Greek black metal band Rotting Christ.
Yup, we've got Sakis lined up in just a bit. But before we get to that, what have you been spinning lately? We haven't done this for quite some time.
Yeah, so since the last time we did this, one of the albums I've been listening to is A Pale Horse Named Death.
Oh, really? They're back with a new album?
Oh, yeah, dude. And, for those who don't know the band, I'd describe them as a heavier or a metal version of Alice in Chains. And some of you might remember members of the band from Typo Negative. But, yeah, dude, with the weather, with my fever and everything, I think it was the perfect soundtrack for me feeling miserable and the self-loathing, yeah.
So what's the new album called?
It's called When the World Becomes Undone.
And how is it?
They still continue with that same post-apocalyptical theme, something that you really enjoy on a bad day. So definitely give this one a spin.
Okay, so that's A Pale Horse Named Death's When the World Becomes Undone. What else?
The second is closer to home. Our boys from the Northeast, Plague Throat, they're back with a new album called Evolutionary Impasse. And similar to my earlier recommendation of Godless, this is bang on the nose, straight cutthroat death metal, no bullshit, straight up blast beats. Yeah, it's all over. You definitely have to listen to this stuff, man.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. Meanwhile, I've been going pretty old school. I haven't been discovering a lot of new music as such. Well, actually, I am, but not in that same way as you are. That's because I've been listening to Metallica.
What?
Yeah, Metallica. Metallica have a new release out in 2019. They released it in January. Believe it or not, it's an acoustic album. It's called Helping Hands, and it's live and acoustic at the Masonic.
So what does it sound like, man?
It sounds exactly like Metallica at this age in their career, which is basically old uncles and dads having a fun time playing their own songs over a campfire. It's so much fun, and it just goes to show that what these guys do is these guys actually write good songs. And when translated into an acoustic setting, I know they've done a lot of acoustic shows in the past, but they haven't reworked all their songs to match acoustic settings. And when you hear stuff like Four Horsemen or something of that sort, but now as a country western.
Okay, this sounds interesting.
It immediately puts in so much of a different characteristic or a different spin onto that song. And you realize that, hey, it's the song itself that is really good, not just the band behind it. Are you getting me? Are you getting
Sure, I get what I'm saying. So definitely this is going to be on my playlist in the coming week and the next few days. What else have you been listening to, man?
I went back and I heard the new Astronoid that came out in early February. It's not the sophomore slump, clearly.
Yeah.
But is it the path-breaking album that Astronoid described it to be? I don't think so. I was satisfied with it, but it's clearly not a bold, new, fresh direction. It's more of the same as what we expected in the first thing, but definitely it's a much more convincing sound this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first couple of singles that they put out. I think I need to spend more time with it, or probably the thing was I was so impressed with Air when it first came out, and I kept listening to it obsessively that entire year, that I think I might have to give this new one a few more listens.
Mm-hmm. All right. Besides that, there are a couple of new singles that came out in the last week that really, really, really impressed me, and I have to talk about them. I'm talking about, of course, Pig Destroyers, The Cavalry, and Death Haven's Black Brick. Why I'm talking about them is, if you thought Head Cage was the new direction for Pig Destroyer, the Cavalry just completely shits over almost all the heaviness that's there on Head Cage, because this is the heaviest I've heard Pig Destroyer in an insanely long time, and that's coming from a person who rated Head Cage as his best album of 2018.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this was sheer oral intensity. It was, I just loved it.
And I completely agree with you, man. Pig Destroyer, this is what I'm going to go back to what I said about them. That if you're expecting them to reinvent the wheel, these guys came back and said, hey, you want to hear heavy stuff? See, we got this up our sleeve.
Exactly. It's just showing people that if Pig Destroyer wanted to just reproduce that same grindcore that they initially came to be known for, they can do it at the drop of a hat. They're choosing not to do that, and that's what's really brave about Head Cage. They just silenced all the critics of that album with this one single.
And that's the same thing I feel about Death Haven also, man.
Completely out and out balls out black metal track.
It's like, you doubted us? Hey, take this.
Exactly, yeah. You doubted us. You thought we would only write poppy parts in black metal inspired sections. Well, here is a straight up out and out black metal song. I still think it doesn't fit the traditional vibe of what black metal is supposed to feel like. But as far as the sonic representation of it goes, I think they've got it bang on. It's very clear that they know what they're doing with this sound, man. I don't think we need to keep talking about genre classification, etc. with Death Heaven anymore. They're metal.
Let's keep it at that. So, just to wrap that up, if you haven't heard the new singles from Pig Destroyer and Death Haven, were both part of our top albums from last year, go check it out. Stop what you're doing right now and check it out.
Yep, that's that. I think it's time. Let's jump into our interview with Sakis. He'll be joining us over Skype, and so are we. Hence, you'll notice a slight change in oral quality. Anyways, here goes.
So, Sakis, this show is basically about not only just currently what's happening into metal, but also going back to your roots. And so let's just go back to your early days. How did you get into metal starting, and what were the bands that really influenced you?
I started back in late 80s. I was 15 years old, I remember. And now I am 47, 32 years back. Oh yeah, time flies. And I just first listened to Celtic Frost and I said, all right, something woke up inside me. I listened to Celtic Frost, I listened Venom, I listened Bathory. That were my main influences too. And I said, all right, my life is different from now on. I'm gonna do like something like this. I want to play a band like this. I want to play one show ever in my life. I want to sound like my idols. And I realized that after 30 years, I have played more than 1,500 shows. I have released 14 albums. Early days, young people that were really into trying something new and really were attracted by this dark black metal.
So, looking back again at you listening to it, how did you and your brother Themis kind of decide you want to start a band, other than listening to Celtic Frost, or where did that whole inspiration come from?
We wanted to sound like our idols. We want to play music like our idols, like Celtic Frost, like Bathory, like Venom, like all these bands, and didn't have any dreams. Okay, we grew up in a really different era. Not like nowadays that the new kids want to have everything from the first day. They want to achieve everything, all their dreams in 1 year or something. We didn't have any dreams. We didn't have any vision. Our vision was just to play music. So I said to my brother, do you want to play drums? He didn't have money for drums. So we play in our beds. I didn't have money for guitar, so I stole some money from my mother and to buy one guitar. We did a lot of things just to fulfill our dream, and this is how we started, more or less, without big dreams, without.
Initially, I believe Rotting Christ started out as a grindcore act. What drew you towards black metal?
We started like grindcore. We wanted to make noise, not music. We wanted to destroy everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was our goal. We wanted to destroy everything. But then, maybe deep inside us, we had some mentality. We had a really maybe a mentality that we didn't know that we had it. And so when we first listened to black metal, when we first listened the atmosphere that black metal music can create, we said, all right, this is our thing. From now on, we're gonna play like this, and we're gonna be a band with two brothers.
One of the things is you've been considered by many as the pioneers of the Greek black metal scene. You've mentioned Celtic Frost earlier, but you also at the same time had the second wave of black metal bands
Exactly.
like Mayhem, Dark Throne, Burzum. What kind of influence did they have, if any, on you, or which other bands kind of influenced you?
No, that were our main influences. We didn't have any other influences. Just black death metal. That's all. Then it comes Possessed. Then it comes the bands like Morbid Angel. They also influenced our sound. Then they come Paradise Lost. We were influenced from the atmosphere, from the riffs, from the melodies. We're a band full of influences from bands that were loved. That was the scene back in the days. The scene was different, not like nowadays.
Okay, and of course, you've mentioned earlier that y'all have been around for over 3 decades. How would you say the band, or what defines you as a band, has it evolved since then?
What do you mean involved?
As in, what you started out with the vision of what Rotting Christ was going to be when you started it in 1987 till now, has the definition of the band evolved?
Yes, of course.
So, what
We
was the
have
vision
achieved
back then, and what's the vision now?
that's just to play one show. That's all. Just to play one show. You didn't have dreams, Come on, you grow up in the 80s. Do you remember? How old are you?
I am exactly as old as Rotting Christ. I was born in 1987.
You see, if you grow up in 80s, you didn't have big dreams. We come from a poor country. We come from a fundamentalistic country, a country that always had problem to appear our name, Rotting Christ. Greece is an Orthodox, Christian Orthodox country, so we always had problems. But we were the guys that wanted to change everything. We were the guys, the rebels. We wanted to destroy everything. So despite the problems we had, if we express ourselves as we want, wanted always to be a pain for the society back in the days, okay, not nowadays. Nowadays, maybe we are more a pain, but at least we are more mature. We don't never say, I fuck your religion or something like that. We are just saying that we don't have any problems with religions all around the world, but we have problems with organized religions. This is something that always fight against our band.
All right. Okay. Keeping things to the same kind of space, do you keep a track of your local or the global metal scene? And if so, how do you perceive your audience to have evolved over the years?
Of course, a lot of things has changed. It's not like nowadays we have internet, we have social media. You do something, everyone's
Hmm.
learned about this all around the world. We lose the legends, but still, I like very much, what the new guys are doing. Sometimes it's very stressful because I feel sorry about them, but I like that. Still, there are bands all around the world that try to play our precious music. It's very important. Of course, the things have changed. Everyone wants to be very fast, famous, and stuff like that. But we lose a little bit of solidarity. Yes, this is the spirit nowadays. On the other hand, I feel like, all right, I think that you have built a little brick on the wall, and we want to pass some of our ideas, of our old ideas, to the new generation.
Okay. Do you think the tastes or the behaviors of your audience has changed at all?
Not that much. Okay, okay, it has changed a little bit, of course, because if you went to a metal show back in the days, it was like you betting, am I going to be back in my home? Now it's like, yeah, it's like you're going to church. Nothing happens, which is all right, maybe good for the parents. Going to a metal show, it's one of the safest things nowadays. Back in the days, were a kind of a war zone. That's the difference. But still, the people, are the same more or less.
All right. So let's talk about the reason that we are getting a chance to talk to you. Let's talk about Heretics.
Mhm.
I've been spinning it on repeat for the last few days. I first want to get into the process a bit. Now, it's almost like clockwork. Rotting Christ releases an album every 3 years. 3 decades in, my question to you is, have you arrived at a formula of sorts for success, or simply to realize your creative vision?
Of course, you must have a formula. Must have a purpose. Something we
Okay.
didn't have in the beginning. Now we have a plan. The last 10 years, we became more professional. We pay all our day in the band. Personally, I'm doing almost everything. I'm freaking out a little bit, but something. This is something that I like. This is my purpose in this life. We must find a purpose. Everyone find a purpose in this life. I have a find my own purpose, so I give it till the end. So this is the formula: just being yourself and follow the scene. Be a fan. Okay, this is the most important thing. Just be and slow down. No step. No nose up. No nose up. This is very important because you must.
No nose up. No
No way.
nose up, but horns remain up.
No. Oh yeah, for sure. That's for
Okay,
sure.
so all right. So if that is your purpose, then what is the writing process that you follow? What happens in those 3 years?
Mhm.
Do you have like a fixed like okay, I will dedicate 6 months
I
to
travel a lot.
songwriting,
Yes, I
etc.
know what you
Or
mean.
or
Yes,
how does that happen?
I travel a lot. For instance, I traveled in India 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wrote Deva Devam, the song with Deva Devam. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, everywhere I go, I take influence. For me, metal has no boundaries. For me, metal has no borders. So everywhere I go, I just meet my metalheads, my metalhead friends, and saying, right, these people has something to tell me. These people has something that maybe I didn't know before. So I get influences from all around the world. So I collect everything in my mind, and then I think very much. I read, and then I grab the guitar. This is the thing, the composition process. How I do the last 10 years. I try to make more soulful music, and I think that I do it a little bit.
Okay, and you've talked about what influences you. Heretics, just like your previous album, has a strong bent towards literature. So, is that something that you purposefully do? Look towards literature for inspiration.
Yes,
Also,
yes.
what are you currently reading at the moment or these days?
You know something? I woke up one day and I realized that I'm one heretic. The path I have chosen, it's quite heretic. It's something against the flow, something against the system. So I realized, all right, I'm a heretic. So I started to read, find people that had the same passion, the same path, the last, into the centuries. I found very important heretics, very important authors, poets that were blamed from the local system as heretics. So I started to read Nietzsche. I started to read Edgar Allan Poe, Thomas Paine, Dostoevsky, Kazantzakis, people that were blamed as heretics. So all those people influenced me and said, "All right, I have something to say still to the people." So I started to record the album number 14th, and here I am.
Okay. Now, let's get into the recording process a bit. We know you've recorded all the instruments on previous Rotting Christ albums, of
Mhm.
course, except the drums. Was it
Of
the same case on Heretics as well?
yes, yes. This is yes. Me and my brother are the main members, so we do that for more than 30 years. The other
So,
guys help me a lot. The other guys in the live show, but people come and go.
Okay, so
That's
the
okay.
question I'm going to ask you from this is, Sakis, is it right if I say that you view yourself as a perfectionist?
I was not. I became. The last 10 years I became. I was not at all in the beginning.
Okay.
I found a vision in my life the last 15 years, 10, 15 years. And I said to myself, right, find a reason to live. So I do that. Yeah, perfectionist. Yeah.
Okay. Which approach do you prefer to making music? Like songwriting on your own, recording on your own, or jamming with other people?
No,
Because
no,
there's
on
merits
my
to
own.
both approaches, right?
Yes. Many people, it depends. Actually, I prefer to stand by myself. When I'm alone, I can understand. I can talk to myself. I can have a meditation.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm alone with people, I would like to play thrash or grindcore or whatever when we jam. But when I am myself, I'm getting more sophisticated. I have a more meditation. I'm talking more to myself. I find out what vibe. I find out my vibes, and I came like a better composer.
Okay. There's also a lot more guitar work on Heretics. To me, at
Yes,
least, it sounded like there was a lot of guitars on it. Why did you
that's.
feel the need to include so much more guitars over the previous albums?
I I missed a little bit the previous. I missed a little bit the guitars in the last two albums. So I said, all right, let's have an album like quite similar like the two last ones, but with more guitars.
Okay, all right. I specifically want to talk about the Raven. Uh, what drew you to Edgar Allan Poe, and why did you want to take such a famous piece of poetry that's considered one of the best pieces of art in its own right, and then put your own spin on it? Because a lot of people have tried to do that, and most, or at least 80% of all the new iterations haven't really hit the spot, but yours did.
For me, I pay very much attention to the composition process. It's something
Mhm.
very important thing for me. So I think very much. I read a lot. I create my music first in my mind, and then I play the guitars. And this is maybe the spirit to create something soulful. I don't want to create something very fast, very just to say, all right, check out this band. It's very aggressive. But if you have to do something, you have to cover Edgar Allan Poe. It's like, all right, this is very spiritual. So you have to read a lot. You have to trip a lot. You have to travel a lot with your mind. Something that I want to believe that I did.
So we'd like to play a track from Heretics on our show. Which song do you think best
Wow.
exemplifies what you're trying to do with the album?
It's very hard to say. I think that if you play, no, it's very hard to say. It's just pick one song. I don't know. Let's say which one? The Raven. Go ahead with
Okay,
the Raven
all
Really?
right.
Okay, why did you choose that?
because the one it has a lot of guitars. The Raven is based in the guitar melodies, and one is based in the atmosphere we had created with the last two albums.
The Raven.
I fall from the holy empire, an angel that losing his path. I torment with passion and fire. I torment with pride, greed and lust.
The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping. black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart. Just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Just to kind of come to a certain kind of circle in a way to what we're discussing. What do you feel today, 32 years after you started the band? What does black metal mean to you today?
Black metal has lost a little bit its rebel spirit. I mean, black metal nowadays for me it's a music wave that it's getting more nationalist, which is something that I don't like at all. I'm a world citizen. I have traveled all around the world, and it's really bad for me to say I don't play them because the people there are black, or I believe that someone high. No, black metal was born to burn the religions, to bring back the people to the paganism, and not to be a nationalist thing that is nowadays. Still, of course, there are some health voices out there, and I would believe that Rooty Crisis are one of them.
Yeah, and you've mentioned earlier also about you keep traveling. As part of your travels, do you also kind of pick up music or look for local bands from there?
Yes, of course, always.
So could you just recommend a few bands that you've followed or you've picked up? What are you currently listening to from like the global scene?
It's everything. I try to follow all the bands that come up. It's very hard to others to say I like this band more than the others. There are many, many great bands out there. I'm sure that if I mention one or couple, then I will lose control. I will lose. I forget some of them. That really something I don't like. Anyway, there are thousands of bands out there nowadays that create good music. Something that I miss is the influence. Sometimes I feel like there is a competition between the bands. Who is playing faster? Who is the most evil? And stuff like that. Music is not about this.
You've performed like over 1,000 shows around the world. What have been like a particular show or a few shows that kind of have stuck in your memory throughout the years? And if they've been memorable, what have been like a certain incident or story that is the reason why it stuck out in your memory?
If I say the show in India were one of our most stuck in my mind, it's were one of the most not important. No, it's
You're being very
I always want to be in India, and I really fascinated very much by from the metalheads there. I mean, I thought that India was a country not into metal at all, but I realized that metalheads there, people with maintains the same spirit. This is very important. It's important because there is a community all around the world that is called metal community. It has a lot of things to in common. Also, I like very much when I play South America, very much when I play, for instance, where say everywhere. But in some territories that don't play often, like India, for instance, it's something special.
Okay, I'm really glad to hear that.
Where do you want to go next? What's on yours and Rotting Christ's bucket list? And don't get me wrong for using that term.
To keep the spirit until the end of our life. As long as we are in a good health, we keep on playing music and we want to die on the stage. I mean, we will never quit. We will never say no to what we are doing because this is the purpose we come to this life, to play metal music and to teach the next generation.
I'm guessing the 3-year clock has begun. The next time we'll be hearing a Rotting Christ album will be, say, 2021 or 22.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If I may influence, something, I don't do albums because just to get a tour or something or to get money. Nowadays you lose money from the albums. The thing is that I do albums because I have something to say to people. If I still have something to say to people, I will keep on composing and writing music.
Okay. But at the moment, are you even thinking about it? Or has
No.
inspirations
I'm
or
relieved now.
influences already started coming to your head?
No, not yet. Leave me alone for 6 months, maybe, without be spiritual or something. But after 6 months, I'm sure we'll be back because this is the way I enjoy my life.
Okay. Final couple of questions. Now, you're one of the few brothers who are actually in a band together and have managed to be doing this for such a long time. How does that work out between the two of you? Don't you get sick of each other at some point in time? I have a brother, so I definitely know how it oscillates.
It's always problems. It's problems. When you have to deal with brothers, it's problems. There are problems. Always have very easily fights between each other. But it is the only person that you can trust. And this is very important. This is the reason that the band is still alive after too many years. I don't know, you have brothers, so I guess you can feel how is it to deal with, especially when you have to deal share the same room or the same job, come on. But on the other hand, it's the person you trust, and this is really precious.
Is it easy to take a decision when both of you have a different point of view? Like say about a particular, so say a part requires you want one part to be a blast beat, and Themis says no. I think
no problem. Always, no. We always have problems about this, especially in the studio process. When you write an album, it's kind of wow.
All right, so it's been great talking to you, Sakis. I'm really glad to hear about your that India had an impact on you, and I'm really glad that you shared a lot about Heretics with us. We hope to see you in India sometime soon, probably before the next album is out. Any final words you'd have for our listeners?
Thank you all our Indian metal brothers for supporting especially the last years. And until we come back to your country, to your land, keep the spirit alive and always non-serviam.
Non-serviam. Horns up to you, Sakis.
All right, horns up.
Okay, my friend. Greetings to Bombay and greetings to all India. Hope we will be back. I really hope this.
So that went by fast, didn't it, Pete?
Oh yeah, that went quite quickly, to be honest. One thing I really enjoyed about our conversation is just hearing about the early days. I mean, like I said, they were the pioneers of the Greek black metal scene, and it was great to hear about the scene back then, what it was like, what inspired them. And the second thing I really enjoyed was just hearing about the experience in India. I happened to be at the show in Bangalore Open Air when they played a few years ago, and really it was a black metal ritual, if I may say, and just to hear that it stuck in his mind and all these years later him talking about it. So yeah, definitely enjoyed that conversation with him.
So with that, it's a wrap on this episode of Horns Up. Our next episode is shaping up to be quite a good one, and that's because we should be able to talk to Jason Netherton. He's the founding member, bassist, vocalist, and lead lyricist for the American death metal band Misery Index. It promises to be a super heavy show, but that's for the next episode. Till then, you can subscribe to Horns Up on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts.
And you can also follow us on @HornsUpPod on Twitter. I'm Trent Crusher on Twitter.
I'm at Asmoani. Till the next time, keep them horns up.
Horns up.